The sex trafficking and racketeering trial for music mogul Sean Diddy Combs starts back up this morning. The prosecution plans on calling another key witness to the stand this week. You got Diddy's former assistant, Capricorn Clark. She has ties to rapper Kid Cudi and his claims that Combs torched his Porsche and broke into his home, etc. Joining me now is NewsNation legal contributor Jesse Weber. Jesse, good morning to you. Week 3, my friend. Does Capricorn Clark taking the stand to talk about a torched car do anything to solidify the federal charges Diddy faces?
I think so. I think it's just as important as Kid Cudi's testimony. Why? Remember, for racketeering, the jury has to accept the fact that Sean Combs was essentially a gang leader, right? That he was in charge of this criminal enterprise that was involved in all different kinds of crimes. And in order to prove racketeering, the prosecution has to prove at least 2 underlying crimes. 2 of those crimes are arson and kidnapping. What did Kid Cudi testify to last week? He testified that he believes Sean Combs torched his car. That's arson. He also said that Capricorn Clark may have been a witness to this. He also seemed to allege that Sean Combs may have kidnapped Capricorn Clark. So her testimony is pivotal in proving 2 of the underlying crimes that the jury has to accept to convict Sean Combs of racketeering, by the way, which carries life in prison. That is the top charge here. So clearly, with calling her, with calling members of the Los Angeles Police Department and fire personnel, they are trying to prove what happened with this investigation and what happened with this alleged firebombing.
Yeah, and in the first 2 weeks, you and I talked a lot about Sean Combs' ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. She testified to the abuse that she suffered under the music mogul. Do you think there has been proof, or is going to have to be proof, that Diddy forced her to travel across state lines to commit sex acts for that part of the case?
I think there are 2 concrete examples of sex trafficking. Okay, aside from the fact that the jury might take everything that she said, and I think the physical abuses are quite well documented in the photos and the videos and the other people who testified, but I think that there are 2 prime examples. One, of course, is the 2016 Intercontinental alleged attack, that was captured on surveillance footage, because she claims that was after a sexual episode that she was trying to leave. So if the jury accepts that she was ultimately transported to different locations, including Los Angeles, for these certain events, and was beaten and forced back into that room or prevented from leaving, that's one. But I think the most concrete example is something that she testified to. She is on a plane with Sean Combs, so the travel element. She claims that he sat next to her, showed her incriminating videos of her in these intimate situations, used it as a way to threaten her, to embarrass her. They land, and within what, an hour, 2 hours, maybe 3 hours from when they land, he demands one of these sexual episodes. She complies. So if you're talking about the elements of sex trafficking, I think those are 2 prime examples that the prosecution is really going to have to focus on.
Yeah, and then once the prosecution wraps its case, of course, defense is up. What's their game plan in defending Diddy, you think?
So first, let me say the witness list is sealed. So we don't know exactly until like the day before who's going to testify. But what they're going to do is double down on what they've already done. They're going to double down on people who said, I never saw anything that where Cassie Ventura, where it wasn't consensual. They had a former sex worker who testified last week who said everything looked consensual to me. So the more that they can say that she was a willing participant and that it was consensual, and also she's not the only witness here. There's another alleged victim, Jane. They're going to do the same thing. And really what the name of the game is also is saying, even if the jury accepts that he engaged in abuse and domestic violence, it doesn't meet the elements of racketeering. Now, of course, who else will testify? Will it be family members? Will it be his friends? Will Sean Combs take the stand? Probably unlikely, but we shall see. It's a kind of a guessing game right now about who they want to call.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.